the millionaire's son was inconsolable, until a humble worker unleashed an unthinkable smile. Liam sat alone in the grand foyer of his family's mansion, a place that should have felt like home but instead loomed like a prison. Crystal chandeliers sparkled above him, casting icy reflections against the marble floor. Luxury surrounded him, but all it did was amplify the emptiness he felt inside. Since his mother's sudden passing, grief tangled around him like a suffocating fog, dragging him deeper into isolation. He could hear laughter from the gala, a masked affair of wealth and pretension that he refused to join. Those parties buzzed like a hive of bees, serving only to remind him of his loneliness. Each invitation felt like a taunt, laced with superficial smiles and polite chatter. He pictured the shimmering gowns, the tailored suits, the clinking of glasses filled with expensive champagne. It was a bizarre world, vibrant and carefree, while he stood on the outside, wrapped in a cloak of sorrow. His heart felt heavy, mimicking the weight of the mansion's walls. As guests swirled around him, Liam turned his gaze to the window, watching raindrops race down the glass. His phone buzzed, a message from his father. "Get ready, you need to be at the gala." The urgency clawed at him, tightening the knot in his stomach. He could almost hear the laughter spilling through the high ceilings and gold-trimmed doors. But Liam chose silence. Until that night, Mia, a waitress juggling two jobs, darted between the guests. Her laughter, a melody of hope, chimed through the air, lifting Liam from his shadowy cocoon. She wore a simple black dress, hair pulled back, but her spirit sparkled brighter than the diamonds around her neck. Unbeknownst to him, every smile she flashed was a ray of light that cut through his darkness. "Are you going to stand there all night?" she joked, noticing him. Her voice bubbled with warmth, a refreshing contrast to the chilly opulence surrounding them. He was caught off guard. Her gaze held something genuine, no pretense, no hidden agenda. Just a simple charm that tugged at his heart. "Right, who's the tragic prince in the corner?" a guest snickered, glancing his way. Liam's cheeks burned with embarrassment. But Mia stepped closer, a fierce look in her eyes. "You don't have to be alone, you know. I was just going to grab some tiramisu. Want to join?" "Why would you want to talk to me?" he mumbled, still battling his turmoil. But her smile was infectious, breaking something inside him. Across the room, dark figures whispered, eyes glinting with greed. Liam spotted his father's business partners, their expressions twisted. They plotted behind sharp suits and false smiles, encroaching danger lurking beyond his newfound hope. Could he really trust someone like Mia? Their worlds felt light years apart. As conversations swirled around him, he found himself drawn to the unassuming warmth of her presence. Yet his heart raced in uncertainty. A sudden noise snapped him back to the moment, a crystal chandelier swaying ever so slightly. That feeling, the sensation of impending doom, coiled in his stomach. He was standing at a crossroads, facing a choice between the gilded cage that had imprisoned him for too long and the brave, hopeful spirit standing in front of him. But what if there was more to Mia than he realized? A secret that linked them in ways he couldn't fathom. Just as he opened his mouth to ask, an unexpected hush fell over the crowd, thick with tension. "Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact." As the hush enveloped the crowd, Liam's heart butted heavily in his chest. He glanced at Mia, her eyes locked onto the stage where the host had just stepped forward. But worry flickered in her gaze. It wasn't merely the hush that turned the air thick. It was the weight of expectation hanging over them. Suddenly, the grand doors swung open. Every head turned, every murmur echoed. A figure stepped inside, drenched and wild-haired, a stark contrast to the glitz around him. Liam squinted, heart racing. The man wore no suit, no mask, just soaked jeans and a t-shirt clinging to his skin. But there was something familiar about him. Liam's breath caught as recognition set in. It was Tom, his estranged uncle, the very one who had vanished from their lives years ago. The gossip had spun tales of his escapades, whispers of betrayal and tension. "Tom?" Liam muttered, confusion clouding his mind. Before he could process this shock, Tom shouted, "Liam, you have to listen to me." A chill ran down Liam's spine. Whispers turned into gasps. Curiosity mixed with disbelief rippled through the crowd. Mia stepped back, eyes wide. "Why are you here?" Liam's voice was barely above a whisper, disbelief lacing his words. But the sincerity in Tom's eyes was undeniable. "I'm not just here for the party." Tom's gaze darted to the guests, disdain etched across his features. "It's about your mother. There are things you don't know." What could possibly matter anymore? Liam's heart sank. Every memory felt tainted. The glimmering chandelier's stomach twisted painfully. "Like what?" A voice from the crowd shouted, challenging Tom but drawing a pulse of worry within Liam. "A sob story?" "No, you don't understand. It's about the company, about your father." Liam's pulse quickened. His father's business was everything: success, power, family legacy. "What do you mean?" "Your father." Tom paused, swallowing hard. "He's not who you think he is. The things that happened back then, it's all connected. That's why I had to leave, and why I had to come back." Silence gripped the room, tension creeping thick as fog. Liam felt Mia's hand brush against his arm, grounding him for a fleeting moment. Her warmth was a stark contrast to the icy dread settling within him. "Someone's been pulling the strings for years," Tom continued, urgency clawing at his tone. "Your mother might not have died from natural causes." Gasps rippled through the crowd, shock painted across faces. Questions buzzed like angry bees. Mia looked up at Liam, alarm etched in her expression. Her eyes transformed from curiosity to concern, struggling to comprehend. "Stop lying." Liam's voice rose above the din, panic creeping into his chest. "This is too much." But Tom stepped closer, breathless. "You have to trust me. They're coming for you, Liam. The truth could destroy everything." A loud crack echoed through the room. A chandelier swayed ominously overhead, sending a shower of crystals down. Chaos erupted as guests scattered, the laughter replaced by frantic whispers. "Mia!" Liam grabbed her arm, pulling her closer, the weight of Tom's revelation pressing down. "What's happening? What do we do?" Her voice was barely a whisper, fear clawing at her tone. In that chaotic moment, amid the swirling crowd, Liam realized everything he thought he knew was about to shatter. The mansion, the party, the carefully constructed life he lived. The foundation of his world trembled. Was his family's wealth built on secrets darker than he ever imagined? And just as he was about to confront Tom, a chilling thought struck him. Was his uncle really the ally he needed, or a dangerous man wrapped in deception? "Where do we go from here?" he asked, searching Mia's eyes for answers, knowing deep down that nothing would ever be the same again. In that chaotic moment, amid the swirling crowd, Liam's mind raced faster than his heart. Pain throbbed in his chest, and he gripped Mia's arm, desperate for something to anchor him. "What do we do?" Her voice shook like the crystal chandelier swaying above them. Tom's desperate gaze locked onto Liam's. "They're coming for you, Liam, I promise. You need to believe me." His urgency crackled in the air, a jolt of energy that snapped Liam from his confusion. But doubt clawed at him. Before Liam could muster a response, the front doors burst open again, and a chill swept through the room. It wasn't another partygoer who stumbled through this time. It was a police officer, uniform crisp, eyes scanning the room like a hawk. "Everyone, please remain calm." The authoritative voice cut through the murmurs, sharpening the tension. Liam's heart dropped. "What is happening?" he whispered, panic tightening his throat. But before anyone could answer, a figure stepped in behind the officer. Someone Liam recognized. Someone he never thought he'd see again. It was Emma, his childhood friend, close like family. Until she wasn't. Her face was pale, lips pressed into a thin line. There was no laughter, no smiles to warm the room. Only urgency. "Liam," she shouted, cutting through the chaos, her eyes wide with fear. "You need to come with us, now." "Emma? What do you mean?" Liam stammered, confusion swirling like a storm. "What's going on?" "Listen, there's no time." She rushed toward him, grabbing his shoulders. "They're tracking you, Liam. We can't talk here. I'll explain everything later." The crowd shifted, whispering like a tide of secrets. A knot formed in Liam's gut. "Who's tracking me?" "Your father," Emma breathed, urgency lacing her words. "The people he's connected with, it's bad, Liam. Really bad." Liam blinked, stunned. "What do you know about my father?" Before she could reply, Tom's voice cut through again. "You don't know, do you?" His expression twisted with something dark, something nearly primal. "You think your father is the villain? You have no idea." "What do you mean?" Just then, an explosion of sound erupted from the back of the room. Someone screamed. Everyone's attention snapped to the sound. Metal slammed, glass shattered. A security guard went flying past the stage as another figure barreled in, masked and wild-eyed, holding a gun. Time froze. Every breath felt like a lead weight in his chest. Panic erupted like a bomb detonating among the guests. Chaos took over. Guests shrieked, some scrambled for exits, while others ducked under tables. The masked figure's eyes darted across the room, searching, hunting. "Get down," Mia yelled, pulling Liam to the ground, their world shrinking to the space between them. "What is happening? Who are they?" Liam's voice trembled, each word loaded with fear. "I don't know. Just stay down." Mia's voice was fierce, but there was a crack of fear there too. Liam felt the weight of the moment crashing around him. He could see Tom's eyes wide. Whether with shock or something more sinister, he couldn't tell. "Liam," Emma hissed, urgency flooding her voice. "You're in danger. We have to get you out of here." The gunman shouted, but Liam couldn't hear the words over the pounding of his heart. Panic and confusion wove through the room, sowing seeds of despair. Then it happened. As the masked figure fired a shot into the air, confusion transformed to sheer terror, while Tom lunged forward, rushing to intervene. "No, you don't understand." But before anyone could grasp the panic unfolding, the bullet ricocheted off the marble floor, and someone screamed. Liam's world blinked, everything blurring together. Who was the real threat? Was it his uncle, desperate to reveal something? Or the father he had idolized, drawing him into a storm he didn't comprehend? And as the chaos spun around him, Emily's eyes met his, a frantic message buried within. "It's not just about you, Liam. You're the key." Then everything shattered and Liam was left wondering, just how deep did this rabbit hole run? Liam's heart raced, pounding like a drum against the chaos that surrounded him. Emma's urgent voice cut through the panic, pulling his attention. "Liam, we can't stay here." Mia clung to his arm, her eyes wide, reflecting the fear that echoed in the room. The gunman was still in the corner, scanning, hunting, the tension stretching thin. Time felt sticky, every second weighed down by uncertainty and terror. Liam glanced at Tom, whose face twisted with determination. "Listen to them, Liam. You need to go." His voice was a jagged whisper, cutting through the crowd's noise. But before he could even process it all, a sharp crack ripped through the room. A second shot, this one closer, louder. Gasps echoed and instinct kicked in. Liam turned, pulling Mia down just as glass exploded from a nearby window. "Go, now," Emma shouted, urgency spilling from her. Without thinking, Liam grabbed Mia's hand, pushing her through the frantic crowd. They ducked and dodged, bodies scrambling for safety, the mingling scents of perfume and sweat tangling in the air. They stumbled towards the back door, where chaos reigned. Outside, sirens wailed, blaring against the night sky, a cacophony that sent shudders through him. But they didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Emma led them outside, her grip firm, her urgency a lifeline. Suddenly, a sting on Liam's arm made him jerk. He turned confused, and found himself facing Tom, his uncle, the man who had prompted all this madness. "Liam," Tom's voice crackled with desperation. "You don't understand," but just then, the world spun. A figure emerged from the shadows, a tall man, face obscured by a hood. There was a flicker of recognition, but before he could speak, the hooded man lunged forward with a swift motion. Time slowed. Liam watched as the man produced a knife, glinting in the low light. Shock froze him in place as the knife flashed, lashing toward Tom. "No!" Liam screamed, but it was too late. The blade met flesh in a quick, shocking movement. Tom doubled over, gasping, eyes wide, shock rippling across his face. "Tom!" Liam lunged, instinct roaring through him. But as he stumbled forward, realization hit like a tidal wave. Tom was not just an innocent victim. He was holding something back, something darker. Liam's heart twisted. Was this betrayal? Blood soaked Tom's shirt, an ugly truth spreading through the white fabric. The masked man stepped back, a smirk twisting his lips, eyes glinting with satisfaction. "Mia, get back," Liam shouted, pulling Mia closer as fear knotted in his stomach. He couldn't let her get caught in this crossfire. He couldn't let anyone else he cared for get hurt. Just then, the gunman from before turned, focus shifting from everyone to Liam. "You were supposed to stay out of this," he shouted, voice booming. Liam's mind raced. Stay out of what? Suddenly, everything he thought he knew felt like a fragile glass house, ready to shatter. As Tom slumped to the ground, blood pooling around him, Liam felt the weight of the world on his shoulders. He wanted answers, wanted to know who this masked man was, and why this was happening. Was his father involved? Had the life he had lived been a lie? Was Tom really the villain, or a pawn in something much bigger? "Mia, we need to move," Emma yelled, pulling him back. But Liam's gaze was frozen on Tom, who was struggling to breathe. "What do you know?" Liam demanded, desperation lining his voice. "Tell me." But Tom's eyes, filled with a mixture of pain and something profound, flickered. It's all connected, Liam. You are the key," he breathed, before his voice faded, a shadow slipping from existence. "Liam, let's go," Emma urged again, dragging him away, as the crowd rushed past. And in that moment, as Liam stumbled into the chilly air, he felt the ground shift beneath him. The world once so clear spun into confusion. Who could he trust? What was the truth? They raced into the night, Liam's mind a storm of questions. But one thing stood clear. He was in deeper than he ever could have imagined. And just like that, Liam felt the walls close in, as a chilling thought crept into his mind. Was he not just a player in this game but the main target? And if so, what did that make him in this tangled web of lies? Liam felt the world around him swirl in a chaotic storm. The distant wails of sirens, mixed with the shouts of panicked guests, echoing in his ears. He turned to Emma, trying to absorb her urgent plea. "We need to get out now." But every instinct screamed for him to look back at Tom. Was he really gone? That fierce urgency weighed heavy on his chest. Mia stood close, trembling. Shimmers of fear danced in her eyes, and he gripped her hand tighter. "Stay by me," he whispered, needing her warmth, her strength. They moved through the chaos, hearts pounding, breaths shallow. But just as they reached the exit, Liam caught a glimpse of Tom, staggering upright, pushing through the crowd, confusion etched on his face. "Liam," Tom's voice cut through the noise, "you have to listen." But before he could finish, the masked man lunged again, brandishing the knife. A surge of terror shot through Liam. No, he couldn't watch. They couldn't stay. "Go," Emma shouted, pulling him toward the door. But Liam's gaze flicked back to Tom one last time. Desperation seized him. "We need to help him." Then something happened. In the midst of chaos, the masked figure stumbled, as if hit by an invisible force. He fell to the ground, the knife skidding away. The chaos paused. Shock rippled through the crowd, stealing breaths, leaving them frozen in uncertainty. "Keep moving," Emma insisted, but Liam couldn't tear his eyes away. And then, in a blinding flash, another figure emerged from the shadows, a woman with fire in her eyes. "I don't have time for this." She rushed forward, a blur of motion, and in one agonizing instant, she knelt beside Tom. Their eyes met, and Liam's heart thundered. "Mom?" The words slipped from his lips, a whisper barely acknowledging what he saw. She looked different, older, worn by time, but undeniably her. The woman who had vanished from his life, the echo of his childhood. "You shouldn't be here." Liam stood frozen. This was impossible, the world he knew cracking apart. "What? How? Why are you alive?" The shock coursed through him like electricity. Mia gasped, caught between reality and disbelief. "What's happening?" Tom groaned, struggling to rise but not quite able to stand. "This doesn't make sense. You—" "Shut up, Tom. I'm not the threat. You are." She shot a look toward the crowd, voice tinged with urgency. "This is all part of your father's plan. The truth is, it's not just about Liam anymore." "Plans? What plans?" Liam's stomach sank, twisting with confusion. His mother tore her gaze from Tom, locking eyes with Liam, speaking in a frantic whisper. "Your father, he's not who you think he is. He's hiding things, secrets that go deeper than you can imagine." Everything unfurled inside him like a wound torn open. "But you're supposed to be dead. I mourned you." "I know." Her voice trembled, filled with a blend of sorrow and regret. "I had to go, Liam, to protect you. I thought—" She faltered, glancing sideways at the gunman who was recovering, regaining his breath. And then, like a match struck in the dark, another voice splashed through the chaos. "Enough with your theatrics, Emma." It was a deep voice, booming through the space, as a tall figure stepped out from among the guests. Liam's heart stuttered as recognition hit him hard. "Dad?" His father strode forward, a glare darkening his face. The tension was palpable, thick as smoke. "You've made this far too complicated. Time to clean up." Just like that, everything changed in a blink. Emma's eyes widened in horror. "No, you can't." Liam's heart raced, confusion mounting. What did she mean? "This is why I came back." Tom coughed, pain etched on his features. "To warn you, Liam. You're in danger." But no one spoke. Silence hung in the air, thick with dread. Liam glanced between the faces around him, each layering his understanding with shadows of deceit. Everything he thought was solid now trembled before him. "Run," his mother urged. "You must go now." But the question burned in his mind like an ember ready to ignite. "Why are you all lying to me?" And with that, the ground shifted yet again. A storm was brewing, and as the realization hit him, who was truly the enemy? Who could he trust? He was standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into darkness, and all he could feel was that his life had shattered to pieces. "Where do we go from here?" he whispered, the words barely escaping his throat as everything spun out of control once more. Liam stood paralyzed, words caught in his throat. His mother was alive. Everything he had believed shattered at the thought. Why didn't you come back sooner?" The question spilled out, laced with confusion and hurt. But his father stepped forward, face twisted in anger. "Enough of this. You're not listening, Liam. Emma, you shouldn't have come here." "Wait," Emma cried, voice shaking, backing away slightly. "This is wrong. All of this is wrong." Before she could clarify, an unexpected sound, the front doors of the mansion slammed shut. Echoes ricocheted through the air, snapping everyone's attention. A heavy silence settled, thick with dread. Liam felt the heat of tension, panic, gripping him. Suddenly, a figure burst into the room, silhouetted by the light from outside. The gasps that erupted felt like a wave crashing over them, pulling everyone into uneasy silence. "I'm here!" the newcomer yelled, voice hoarse and desperate. Liam squinted, trying to grasp the moment. The person stepped closer, and his heart dropped. It was David, the family lawyer, man he had trusted, admired. "David, what are you doing here?" Liam's father demanded, his voice dripping with irritation. "I had to come," David panted, eyes wide with fear. He looked around, taking in the chaos. "You're all in danger. I have information." "Enough of the games," Liam's father snapped, frustration boiling over. But David ignored him, fixing his gaze on Liam. "I'm sorry, Liam. I should have told you sooner." "What do you mean?" Liam felt himself leaning forward, caught between anger and confusion. "There's a hidden account, hidden truth about everything," David said, voice trembling, pulling out a document from his pocket. "Your father, he's been using your name to cover up something big, lurking right beneath everything we thought was real." The crowd murmured, shifting uneasily. The air felt electric, each heartbeat echoing louder. Liam looked at his mother, who was frozen, eyes darting between David and his father. "What is going on?" she cried, desperation thick in her voice. Suddenly, without warning, the power went out. Darkness enveloped the room, punctuated by gasps and whispers. The world flipped upside down, shadows stretching like fingers reaching out. "Stay together," David shouted, his voice a beacon in the chaos. Liam instinctively reached for Mia, her hand gripping his tightly. Then, a piercing light sliced through the darkness. A flashlight beam sweeping across the room. A voice rang out, sharp and authoritative. "Nobody move, we have you surrounded." Panic erupted as screams pierced the silence. "The police!" Emma shouted amidst the commotion, eyes wide with shock. "Not just the police," David replied, stepping closer to Liam. "They're not just here for arrest. They know everything." "What do you mean?" Liam gasped. Before David could respond, a figure stepped into the light, face obscured by a mask, a striking resemblance to the gunman who had stormed in earlier. "We warned you, Liam. You should have stayed in the shadows." Liam's heart raced. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong everything. He felt the walls closing in, truths unraveling. "What do you want?" he croaked, throat tight. "Your family is intertwined in something bigger than you know. It's not just about your father anymore." Fear gripped him like ice. "What do you mean?" The masked figure raised a gloved hand, ready to expose a deeper secret. Then, in an unexpected twist, the lights flickered back on. Liam's father stood tall, eyes fixed on the masked intruder. "Enough! You don't get to weave your lies here, not now." With that, the world shifted again, a rush of revelation crashing like a wave. Liam felt the ground beneath him shake. "What do you know?" he whispered, dread sinking in. As the masked figure stepped closer, their eyes locked, two worlds colliding. A voice, soft yet familiar, broke through the tension. "Because Liam," and blood ties alike. Just when he thought he understood everything, the bottom fell out. Liam grabbed Mia firmly, his heart leaping into his throat as he realized he was at the nexus of a storm he couldn't control. Could he trust anyone? Would he survive? In that moment of terror, all he knew was about to change forever. Liam stood, frozen in the whirlwind, his insides churning as the masked figure's words echoed in his mind. It all felt like a choking fog, thick with betrayal and fear. He held Mia's hand tightly, their fingers interlocked like lifelines. But a part of him wanted to pull away, to run from the storm that was crashing down around them. "Liam, listen," David continued, voice shaking slightly. "You need to—" But the words were cut off as the lights flickered again. Panic surged in the crowd, breaths held, hearts racing. The flashlight beam danced wildly as bodies scrambled to find safety. Liam turned, trying to gauge the chaotic scene, worry slicing through him. Then it happened. A loud crack echoed through the room. The floor beneath them shuddered, and suddenly, the grand ceiling began to crumble. Dust and debris rained down around them. And people screamed, a panicked wave surging as the elegant backdrop of the party transformed into a nightmare. "Move," Emma yelled, pulling Liam towards the nearest exit. But he couldn't tear his eyes from the chaos unfolding behind him. Tom, on the ground, gasping, reached out, desperate as his blood pooled beneath him. "Liam, don't go." But in that instant, something shattered more than just the ceiling. A hidden panel burst open on the wall, and with it, a stream of people cloaked in dark uniforms emerged, like shadows spilling into the light. Shock turned to confusion as attendees stumbled back, mouths agape. "What the?" Liam's breath caught, confusion morphing into dread. The masked figure turned, eyes narrowing, but it was too late. The influx of uniformed figures surged forward, pushing through the crowd. They moved with a precision that sent shivers down Liam's spine. Their leader stepped into the light, revealing a cold, familiar face. A man who had once been a family friend, a figure he believed was long gone. "Mr. Turner," Liam's voice barely emerged from his throat. "What are you doing here?" The man, once a trusted advisor and ally, now arched an eyebrow, a twisted smile forming on his lips. "I'm here for the family, dear boy. Your father has made quite a mess, hasn't he?" "What do you mean?" Heart racing, Liam felt walls closing in, each second taunting him. "Did you really think you could escape the depths of your family's dealings?" Mr. Turner stepped forward, voice smooth yet laced with malice. "Your father's empire is built on lies, and you're standing at the center of it all." Like shards of glass, the words cut deep. "What lies?" Liam's voice trembled, but before Mr. Turner could answer, a sudden explosion thundered outside. Shouts cascaded through the crowd, and chaos erupted anew. Something hit the mansion with a force so strong it shook the very ground beneath them. Murmurs turned to screams as people rushed towards the exits, wild-eyed, desperate to escape. The dust filled the air like fog. Liam's heart raced, thumping like a drum in his ears. The atmosphere shifted, vibrant, with a blend of urgency and horror. "We need to go," Mia shouted, but Liam felt like he was moving through molasses, each step heavy with doubt. Then, from behind him, came Emma's frantic cry. "Liam, you don't understand." He turned, but what met his gaze was unexpected. A woman emerged from the shadows, not just any woman, but a spitting image of his mother. "Mom," he gasped, disbelief rocketing through him. The woman stepped forward, eyes wild, panic coursing through her veins. "Liam, I'm so sorry. I didn't want you to find out this way." But before she could elaborate, Mr. Turner's expression shifted from delight to fury. "You shouldn't be here," he bellowed. "You are as much a part of it as anyone." Liam's mind spiraled. "Part of what? What is happening?" And then came the twist. Within the madness, deep whispers unfurled, and a truth no one expected echoed through the chaos. "You all think I'm just the mother," she said, voice trembling. "But there's something you need to understand." And just as another explosion rocked the mansion again, knocking everyone off their feet, she fell, clutching her stomach in a haunting silence. "Mom!" Liam shouted, moving toward her. But everything shifted in a blur. Those words hung in the air, heavy with dread. What had she meant? What truth lay beneath her unraveling? In that moment, as the dust settled and tension thickened, Liam realized that maybe he wasn't just a player in this dark game. He might be the very key to something unspeakable, and the real danger was just starting to reveal itself. Liam stood there, the weight of the moment crushing him. His mother lay on the floor, a bloody wound staining her shirt. Panic swept through him like wildfire, igniting every nerve. "Mom!" he screamed, reaching for her. But amid his desperation, the ground quaked once more. The walls trembled, and with a deafening roar, the entire mansion felt like it was about to collapse. It was chaos. The crowd was a mass of shouting faces, fear etched in every expression. Bodies pushed against one another, desperate to escape. "Get out!" Emma pulled him, but he tore his gaze away from Tom, who was still groaning on the floor. "Mom, hold on." He couldn't leave her. He couldn't abandon her again. "Liam, please," Emma begged, urgency clawing her voice. But his heart was a drum of fear, each beat tightening his chest. "No, I need to help her." He felt a surge of defiance. He couldn't lose her again. As he knelt beside his mother, her gaze flickered, fighting against the pain. "Liam, You have to trust me." There was something in her eyes, a desperate plea. In the flash of the moment, she reached into her pocket. "You deserve to know the truth." With trembling fingers, she pulled out a small locket. The chain dangled in the air like a lifeline, catching the light for a split second. "What is it?" he asked, confusion battling with hope. "Open it," she gasped, her breathing quickening. Siren wails echoed louder outside, blending with the panic around them. The chaos surged, people pushing through twists and turns, but still, Liam's world felt frozen. He knew, deep down, this would change everything. He pried the locket open. Inside, a small picture slipped out. He barely had time to register it before his heart sank. There, staring back at him, was a younger version of his mother, and beside her, a man he had never seen before. The masked figure suddenly sprang forward, lunging across the room toward them. "No," Liam shouted, instinct kicking in. He shielded his mother with his body, adrenaline spiking through him as he prepared for a fight. But then, unexpectedly, the masked figure stopped. A flicker of recognition crossed their face. They tore off the mask, revealing a familiar face that sent shockwaves through Liam. "Sarah?" he stammered, disbelief flooding his veins. It was Sarah, his childhood friend, the girl who'd moved away years ago. "What are you doing here?" She wore a wild look, eyes darting as they searched the chaos. "Liam, you need to listen to me. They're coming for you, all of you." "Coming for us? Who?" But then the pieces clicked. The family secrets, the masked intrusions. His entire life was spinning like a door on its hinges, revealing the filth hiding behind the glamour. "I found out what they did," Sarah said, urgency in her voice. "Your mother isn't just your mother. She's part of something huge. Your father, he's been—" she faltered, the weight of her words threatening to consume them all. "What?" Suddenly a loud crash came from the main hall, and the oppressive mist of fear hung over them. Everyone was on high alert now, the urgency in the air morphing into a molten panic. "Liam!" Emma yelled, trying to pull him away. "We have to go." But whatever Sarah had seen, whatever revelations lay buried, it gripped him. "What do you mean?" he pressed, inching closer to her as the chaos swirled around them. Just then, his father stepped forward, face hardened. "You're playing with fire, boy. You don't want to open that door." "What door?" Liam yelled back, heart hammering against his rib cage. "Your mother, she isn't who you think she is." His father roared. "And neither am I." Liam's heart stocked, frozen in the dark truth wrapping around him like a noose. "What do you mean? What is going on?" "Everything you thought you knew is a lie," his father hissed, voice laced with venom. And in that crushing moment, the world tilted at an impossible angle. Sarah, with a defiant flip of her hair, said, "The truth will unravel everything, even your concept of family." A deafening crack resonated around them again. The air shifted. The ceiling above them began to collapse. He couldn't think, couldn't respond. This wasn't just a physical collapse. It was a shattering of everything he believed. He grabbed Mia, pulling her close because she was all that felt tangible in that whirlwind of betrayal. "Liam," Emma shouted, voice breaking as dust filled the air, thick and choking. "We have to move, now." But before they could escape, another figure stumbled into the room. It was Tom, bloodied but alive. "You have to listen." "I'm not the enemy." "Who is?" Liam shouted, eyes wide. And just as clarity began to dawn, he felt the sting of truth slicing through the smoke. A tidal wave of revelations surged through him. The stakes shifted, and suddenly, the alliances he thought were solid morphed into a tangled web of lies and shadows. Liam felt the ground slip beneath him, leaving nothing certain. "What is the truth?" he screamed, the world closing in. As the ceiling cracked overhead and more secrets threatened to spill into the air, one thought shot through Liam's mind with crushing clarity. Everything was about to change, and he was right in the eye of the storm. Liam stood there, unable to move, as the scene spun into chaos. His mother lay bleeding on the floor. The weight of her words filled the air, twisting around him, heavy and suffocating. Emma was tugging at him, panic in her eyes. Mia clung to his arm, whispering, "We need to go, now." But could he leave her? Could he abandon her again? His heartbeat rang in his ears as he turned back to his mother. "What do you mean I was just a player?" "Liam," she gasped, the pain etched across her face. "I didn't want to ruin you, but—" Crack! The ceiling above them shuddered, releasing clouds of dust. The world felt unsteady, like it might crumble at any moment. "You need to understand." And then Sarah stepped closer, her face a mask of urgency. "Liam, you must listen, there's more." But just then, the walls groaned ominously, and the ground jolted underfoot. Bodies surged toward the exits, limbs flailing as fear took the crowd. "Get back!" shouted David, pushing through, but fear ricocheted in Liam's chest. He was stuck in an endless loop of uncertainty. Loud crashes drowned them out, but he heard one voice rise above. It was Tom, blood staining his clothes. "It's the company, Liam. They're coming," and, before he could finish, everything erupted. The front door flew open again, and another figure rushed in, face obscured. With a scream, they hurled something toward the crowd. "What the—" Liam's throat tightened as the object landed with a heavy thud, releasing a dark cloud of smoke. Panic unfolded like a flower blooming. People gasped, running into one another, desperate to escape the haze. And out of the smoke, a figure emerged. Tall, shadowed, stepping forward like a storm, their eyes fixed on Liam. "You're the one I want." Liam's breath caught as their features became clear. An all too familiar face he never expected to see again. It was his older brother, Alex, whom he thought had vanished years ago. "Alex?" The words slipped from his mouth. Drowning in disbelief. "Liam, you need to come with me." Panic laced his voice, and in that instant the world shifted again. "Why are you here?" Liam exploded, emotions swirling. "You disappeared. You're supposed to be gone." "Not gone, Liam. I was trying to protect you. I didn't know any of this would happen." "What are you talking about?" Confusion lanced through Liam as the pieces twisted around him. Alex stepped closer, concern etched on his face. "It's all connected. The company, your father, it's all a facade. They're not just collecting money. They're running a scheme deeper than you can imagine." "Enough," boomed his father, fury rising in his chest. "You don't belong here, Alex. You're just stirring the pot." But before Liam could rethink the stability of his family, the masked figure lunged again, this time with a roar of fury, and everything exploded into chaos. "Stay back!" Sarah screamed. The panic surged. Liam felt the world closing in, fear gripping him. "What do you know, Alex? Why? Is everything a lie?" And in that moment, a piercing pain shot through Liam's chest, like the truth had clawed its way to the surface. What had once been a family of love turned into a house of cards ready to fall. Just then, before anyone could react, the masked figure ripped off their mask. The truth revealed itself, chilling every nerve in Liam's body. Staring back at him was his father, alive, hiding, deeply entwined in this web of deceit. "I had to do what was necessary." His father's voice dripped like poison. "It all leads back to you, Liam. You're the key to everything." Liam's world shattered. "What do you mean?" But the ground lurched once more as the truth spun around him. This time, it wasn't just a chaotic escape. It was a deadly trap, blossoming into reality. Everything he thought was solid began to tremble. Was his family the danger? Was he even safe here? His heart raced, gut twisting, breath coming in frantic gasps. What had he really inherited? The crowd surged again, leaving Liam standing on the brink, uncertainty clawing at him. Where would he go from here? Everything had shifted, and nothing felt certain anymore. Liam's world collapsed into chaos. He staggered backward as the reality of his father's betrayal exploded around him. The crowd surged, panic spilling like a tidal wave. Emma pulled him along, her grip firm, her eyes scanning the chaos for any sign of safety. He glanced back, his heart pounding, ready to scream a question that hung heavy in the air. Why? The masked figure stood before him, the mask now discarded, revealing the grizzled face of his father. "You shouldn't have come here, Liam." The fury was evident in every vein of his father's body. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. This has to end." Liam's voice was lost amid the madness. He pushed past the confusion, each footstep heavy with fear. "You're lying. You're hiding everything." Just then Sarah stepped forward, determination glinting in her eyes. "Liam, listen. We need to expose the truth. Your father's empire is falling apart, and with it everyone involved." The floor trembled once more, dust swirling in the air, blending with the cries of the crowd. In that moment, clarity washed over him like icy water. "Enough," he shouted, voice rising above the terror. "We're done living in shadows. How dare you speak to me like that?" His father's fury boiled over. "You have no power here." Liam felt the tension crackle like electricity around him. "I may not know everything, but I know enough to stand up for what's right." His words struck a chord. The crowd paused. Whispers overtook screams, uncertainty lingering thick in the air. Liam turned to his mother, who struggled to stand, face pale but resolute. "You've given us all the strength we need. Tell us the truth." Her eyes glistened with pain, but something more. Fierce love. "You have to protect yourself, Liam. They'll try to silence you. Not if we fight back." The words surged within him, igniting a fire. "Together we can uncover everything, expose the charade." Suddenly a loud crashing sound echoed in the hall as officers burst through the back doors. Sirens blared, throwing order into chaos. "Everyone, clear the area, we're here to secure." Shock ripped through the audience. Liam's heart soared. "It's over. This stops now." But in that moment, Alex stepped forward, eyes stark with intensity. "You don't understand, Liam. It's too late to turn back." "What are you saying?" Liam's voice trembled, fear creeping in. Then the masked figure lunged again, only to be met by the police. Officers tackled him to the ground, confusion and clarity intertwining. Liam watched as everything shifted, the chaos ebbing away. The weight of secrets began to bear down on his father. The old life, the money, power, and darkness started to unravel in front of everyone. "What happens now?" Emma whispered beside him, clutching his arm tightly. He turned to her, determination blazing through the fear. "Now would take back our story." The crowd began to disperse, police sweeping the area, securing evidence. But Liam held his ground. "We have to speak up for those who can't." Mia stood beside him, hope flickering in her eyes. "If we work together, we can heal." Liam nodded. He could see the truth in her gaze. They stood on the brink of a new chapter, chance to rewrite their story, to build a family on honesty instead of deceit. "Let's expose everything," he declared, voice unwavering. "No more shadows, no more secrets." And as his mother reached out, the warmth of her hand comforting against his, he felt a surge of belief. They would rise from the ashes together, uniting against the darkness that tried to control them. In that moment of clarity, he knew this was just the beginning. They chose light over darkness, hope over despair. As the officers escorted the criminals away and the crowd murmured with uncertainty, quiet determination settled among them. They were not alone. They had each other. With one last glance back at his father, Liam stepped away, resolved to move forward. Whatever challenges lay ahead, he would face them head-on, armed with the truth. And so they walked out together. One family, stronger than before, ready to step into the future, united. This is the moment. You have to subscribe right now to the channel so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm and keep this community alive. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about this ending. We want all your insights. And don't wait even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to know how this ends. Your support means everything, and only real fans understand the importance of all these actions.